money that you're talking about, Sir Manyora,
Yes.
about that is given to political parties.
Yes.
I have been in charge of political parties at the IEBC.
Correct.
That was part of my docket. That money is actually to help them do elections, register voters, open offices countrywide,
run the
secretariat countrywide. That is what to make the political party solid
strong
and be in every part. That money is not to lead as an opposition leader.
No, it makes you credible.
No. What is given, the docket that is given to the leader of opposition is a different budget under the Parliamentary Service Commission that is given to the, even up to now, there is still some perks that are given to leader of opposition. Badi will have a car, he'll have an office that is better than other people, but still, he needs to be able to have resources, to have a secretariat and support staff for each of the members of parliament who are the shadow cabinet. They are the ones who will be in charge of responding to certain government officials when the minister gives a statement. They are the ones to. So that is the difference. The money for political parties is very different, and that one I can clarify because we don't also want to mislead Kenyans. And I want to respond to something because I didn't get a chance to respond to it. When you're saying that we are paying people off who are supposed to have been taken to jail, I think it's unfair, considering that we know that everyone is innocent until proven guilty. We cannot say that they should go to jail because they have not been decided that they are guilty. And the Supreme Court had no power to decide anyone is guilty of a criminal offense. Because what was before the Supreme Court was a civil matter of election offense. It was not an election offense, of election mismanagement. It had nothing to do with a criminal offense for anyone to go to jail. And you must remember that even under the Criminal Procedure Code and the Penal Code, there is something that is permitted by law, the plea bargaining. So that if I find that if I want to take Onyonka to court and take 5 years to prove him guilty, and yet I'm holding back the country, then I plea bargain with him to plead guilty to a lesser charge, then we give him 1 year in jail, and then he leaves. So it's the same thing. When I tell you, let me pay you off so that you leave, it's part of that concept of plea bargaining.
We don't have that kind of money to waste.
I can tell
just
you
a moment. So we have reactions also on Twitter.
I'm just saying it is in the same spirit that you do that because of efficiency. Then finally, I would like to say that I know Kibaki was a powerful, as Senator Mogeni says, was a very powerful opposition leader. He's the one who started the IPPG process. Raila was also a very powerful opposition leader and effective. Uhuru Kenyatta also was a very powerful, when he was deputy prime minister and leader of opposition, he was also very effective. And let me tell you, the problem that we are facing today about BBI and the handshake is because Raila was out in the cold. Had he been in parliament, there would have been no handshake. So what has happened now is that Raila was, the government was capable, the executive was capable of taming Raila by giving him a position and by shaking hands with him so that he can stop talking about Eurobond, SGR,
about the
stealing and everything. So they have actually muted someone who would otherwise have been a powerful opposition leader. So this is how we had the problem of handshake. So please let us make sure, if there's any amendment I support, is to make that opposition leader akuje bunge.
Bring him to parliament.
But what if we flip it? That also Kibaki never kept his part of the bargain during the memorandum of understanding when the Prime Minister was Raila Odinga by then. Yeah, you know there was a memorandum of understanding that was not effected. Would things have been different by now?
Of course. Kenya will never be the same. Never. If Kibaki had been the gentleman we expected him to be, if Kibaki had not betrayed Raila and MOU, this country would never have been the same. When the history of this country is written, when we are not there, the man who will be blamed most for our problem will be Kibaki. First, by rubbishing that MOU that would have brought tribalism to an end. If he had worked with Raila to the end, tribalism would have become a thing of the past in this country. And number two, in his role in refusing to oversee proper transfer of power in 2007, because to many people he lost. If he had not stuck in that office and allowed the winner to many, according to many people, including me, we could be wrong. This country will never have been the same again.
Thank you. No. Reactions on Twitter. We have Corey here saying IEBC election system should be fully digitized like in India. Mixing manual with digital system is what creates loopholes. Biometrics should be applied instead of ID cards. Also, we do have Njeri Wamai saying, Onyonka should have assigned his opponent who lost to him as deputy, give him an office. Not everyone is a winner, and we can't accommodate everyone on taxpayers' money. Can all these top positions also have no pay? Then this inclusivity won't be so attractive. This is what Njeri Wamai is saying. Also, we have SB Barisite saying, I don't believe a retiring president or a defeated one at that. He or she who fear handing over power, rather the people benefiting from them. For example, do we even know the people who brokered the March 2018 truce between Rao and Uhuru Kenyatta? How influential were they? Why them? All right. We have also Gil, that is Gil Nasiali saying, even in 2007, we had the official opposition office, yet we fought over presidential results. As Prof. Manyora says, the opposition office is not enough, but a free and fair election where losers are content.
In addition,
it's a combination.
Let me support that man.
Combination of all these things.
I must support him. Raila did not stand to become official opposition leader.
No.
Raila stood to become president.
Thank you. Let's hear from Onyonka.
Make him,
Thank you.
Because the law
Thank you,
didn't
Ahmed.
allow
let
Just a
him be
moment.
happy that he lost.
Thank you.
Professor Manyora,
Yes.
this thing is not about Raila.
Yes, I'm just saying, you are using him as an
Any person
example.
who would come, and I saw the comment that somebody has made. It's a good comment, but I'll tell them this.
Yes.
We are not saying that everybody who runs for election should
Must
run and therefore be given a position of being opposition. No. At the presidential level, sorry, not presidential system, at the top level, the leader of opposition in the UK is the person who lost to the current prime minister.
and the person who has the highest,
Yes,
second highest number of members.
Parliament in parliament.
Once you have a parliamentary system, that's automatic.
Yes, they
You
are
don't need
allowed
to-
to be in
it becomes automatic.
in the office. They are given an office, they are provided for, their rules and regulations, standing orders will accommodate them. They will have their time to question the prime minister. They will have their time to issue statements. Raila, all these days, Haman,
Yes,
you saw from 2012.
yes.
How many times did Raila talk about what was wrong in this country? How many times were Kenya saying, tulikushinda, you are a useless guy, in fact you are just a street peddler now. You stay out there until you sit out there and watch us govern you. We are going to govern this country so that you are able
watch
to
us,
see.
you-
You watch us from out there.
As you do fishing in Bondo.
As you do fishing in Bondo and you can keep goats. That was the reason.
But that then
All right.
means,
Even-
that then
yes.
means the bar,
Yes.
we want a parliamentary system. The moment you introduce a parliamentary system,
Yeah.
then automatically
Opposition
there
shakes
is
into
an
place.
opposition.
That's why
Thank
we
you.
are saying
All right. He has
that's
an
why
office.
we are for PBI.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
That's why we are saying we must have a parliamentary system.
That's
because
okay
the
if
one
that's what
we
you
have,
want. Yes.
the one we have is dysfunctional.
Okay, that's okay. Now that makes sense.
Last comment. Look at the way we behave in parliament. I bring a question. It is given, Madam Sholei.
Yeah.
You see, you bring the question. The speaker says, "Okay, chairman of the committee, when can you give us an answer?" In the next 4 weeks, and we are talking about coronavirus, which is
Yes,
now.
urgent.
Before, what would happen? Minister for Health comes
Immediately.
to the house. Question is asked in the morning, in the afternoon, the minister is there. That is why Kenyans think we are useless. We are not useless. The system we have is completely
it
dysfunctional.
renders you quite...
Renders it useless.
Right, Gladys, you know the position as it stands right now. You're not in support of BBI as it is. Do you think we need this parliamentary system? From your assessment?
We can do
And is that the
amendments
panacea?
without.
Yes.
We can make amendments without BBI to the constitution. The law allows us to do it. So I don't need BBI to suggest certain amendments that we must change. But you see, we have learned from hindsight now
Yes.
that actually it was a bad idea for us in the 2010 constitution not to allow the opposition, not to find means and methodology for the person with the second highest number of members in parliament to be leader of opposition and to be in the house, because then they would have been more effective. So those are some of the items that we have already identified from practice and from seeing what has happened, and therefore we can propose those amendments if I just use the 2 articles that are in the constitution to be able to push it, not necessarily that BBI. If people suggest it through the BBI process and BBI finally manufactures a referendum question, then so be it. I will support that position.
Thank you.
Thank
All right, so we have this is a boundary review, which is just about to happen next month, overseen by the IBC, and we can actually pick up the standard, what it says, vote-rich counties that could decide Raila Ruto battle. Analysis of the results shows 14 counties will have more than half of potential voters in 2022, and are likely to influence the outcome of the race to succeed President Uhuru Kenyatta. This is also continuing on page 4 of the Standard. Gladys, I heard you earlier saying that we can actually roll this over with a referendum. Was it, or did I got it mixed up on this? This exercise we're having with the boundary review, then we have the referendum again.
If I was working in the IEBC, I would not want to do any boundaries review until after the election.
Until after the election?
Yes. Because we are biting too much that can chew. Because if we are saying, if it's true that there are people, we might end up going to a referendum next year in July, and then we are having an election soon after that, that's too much for the country. It's going to be a strain on our economy, and it's going to cause distraction from economic development or the Big Four agenda that we wanted to complete.
Are they not really trying to keep in step with also the constitutional timelines?
No, the constitutional timelines allows them to do it for 12 years, yeah? I think 12 years.
Between 8 and 12.
Between 8 and 12. So we can take the outer limit of 12 years, so that for purposes of efficiency, that was my take is.
And you do it when there are no elections.
And you do it when there are no elections. Because already, first of all, Kenya having 6 ballot papers is actually a very, very, very difficult election to run. Even the counting, you can't count in 1 hour because of that challenge. Remember, and you know, this is mathematical. The decision to make it 700, that was a suggestion, 700 per polling station, was actually a suggestion because in 12 hours, you have 720 minutes. In those 720 minutes, people take 2 to 5 minutes to vote. If you have several streams, then you are able to deploy 5 people to be on the queue at any one time, in which case you will take that time. But remember, you're really cutting it close because you might find somebody else might take 7 minutes, or you might find that that in between people have to take a break or something happens like that. So that is a process. Also manual counting. Remember, we start by counting the presidential result. And every time, how do we count? It's very manual. You show the ballot that Raila won. You pick the next one, you show, and you show all the agents, and they agree. Then you count 2. So the voting is very slow. So we have to find methodology. We cannot, if we put too many questions during one election, it's going to become extremely difficult for us.
Right, thank you. Kongo Mogeni, we should be giving our headline thoughts right now. So what is your suggestion? Should we go for the boundaries review?
You know, the review of boundaries is not a big thing, if you ask me, because we're just talking about aligning boundaries.
But we can see a lot of politicians are really getting exercise about the whole issue.
And the words. So if you ask me about the beneficial value that is urgent, there is none for now, because we can go to the 2022 elections with the current constituency boundaries, then we can undertake a more comprehensive review immediately after the elections. You know, that when you're moving towards an election, there's always a lot of tension, and people may read politics into an exercise that is very good.
Thank you.
So if I was to advise Chebukati, he has Article 89 of the Constitution gives him a leeway. He can do it at the tail end of 12 years. Let him concentrate on running, not even him, but the new commissioners, on running a credible election 2022. Let him not bother himself with the issue of boundaries. It's not urgent for the country.
And Dibala, allow me so to don't get lost on this
let's
point.
say from Haman, because of
because the follow-up on this.
You will give up. We'll give it up on what do you call it? Closing remarks.
You see, we are in a very tricky situation in the bar. There are people who insist that you cannot introduce parliamentary system or a powerful prime minister or a prime minister who has some measure of power before you address the issue of constituencies. Isaac Mwaura and his team, 1 man, 1 vote. As other people say, 1 kilometer, 1 vote, 1 shilling. Before you handle that 1 man, 1 vote, and 1 kilometer, 1 vote, whatever, 1 shilling, it is going to be very difficult to change the constitution, especially if you want to introduce a prime minister. So I'm saying we are caught in a very tricky situation.
Thank you.
And that's why, for me, I think for now what this country needs is to fix the elections. Fix the politics, fix the elections. Let's maintain the systems we have now. Although we could have a prime minister who does not really antagonize those who feel you cannot have a prime minister before you change the constitution. Right. But in terms of having boundary review now, I support Cholet, and it's not necessary.
It's not necessary.
No, no.
Gladys?
Yes, I think I want to just read this out very wide and loud and clear to Chebukati and his team. Don't attempt to undertake boundaries review now. Because undertaking boundaries review may be a simple process because we have the formula. The formula is clear, is that we look at cultural ties, geographical, population, and so on. That's very easy to do. But it immediately affects the register of voters. So when we start touching the register of voters, when we have not been even undertaking a very comprehensive continuous voter registration, and remember, our 60% of our voters in 2022 will be youth. So if we begin to realign the register, we will end up having a shambolic register. So be warned, it is not a possibility. And Dibal, I'd like you to invite me on the show so that I can remember last time I did for you the timelines.
Yes, yes.
And I can count for you, this takes 60 days, this takes 30 days, this takes 120 days.
Thank you.
If I work it for you, it is an impossibility for Chebukati to be able to do it. So give me the opportunity, I'll undertake a PowerPoint presentation here on a Gantt chart for you to be able to look at it. Thank you.
That was in